Okay. Me. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, less non-classic. This is episode number 2224 and Doubleshot number 2118. We're discussing the third volume for the Incredible Hulk Epic Collection, and actually this is the fifth volume for the Incredible Hulk, and for also discussing for Thor Epic Collection Volume 3. The reason because I have Volume 5 in my stack. Okay, first up we have is Incredible Hulk, Volume 5, Who Will Judge the Hulk? These issues are by Roy Thomas, with Archie Goodwin, Harlan Ellison, Jerry Conway, Gary Frederick, Lean Ween, and Chris Claremont. The artwork is mostly by Herb Trampe with Dick Ayers, Sam Grincher, and Sal Buscema. This book covers issues from Incredible Hulk, issues 138 to 156, and an issue of Incredible Hulk. What's Hulk doing here? Hulk Avengers. That mostly deals with basically the character of Cyclop, I believe his name is. Yeah, that's mostly put exactly what that is here for. And it's a prelude. It's basically part one of a minor two-part crossover that continues issue 140. But here's the thing. Despite the fact, here's the strange thing though about this two-parter. That the Avengers are here for that opening bit, for that first part, but then continues Incredible Hulk, but the Avengers aren't even featured in it. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird, despite the fact both books written by Roy Thomas at, time. So, you have figured, why not? Now, in the case of basically what happens with, of course, these issues, well, in 138, we have the Hulk taking the Sandman once again. Yes, seriously. He takes on Flint Marko, the Sandman. Yeah, and after this issue here, he does not take on the Sandman. Like, I'm looking at his future appearances. I think this was the last time he ever took on the Sandman. I'm looking right now. Yeah, mostly put thinking move back to Spider-Man after this two-parter. Yep. And then you have the Hulk take on like illusions of, basically take on the leader once again. Now as a leader in like, usually, this is something interesting about the leader. It seems as though whenever he shows up in a comic book, like one of these epic collections, he's usually featured for a good stretch period of time before he disappears again. But here's the strange thing about these issues when it comes to, this book. He's featured in 139, and he's featured in 146, 147, and that's it. He is featured a few more times after this, and he disappears for a long time. He pops up in this issue more feature, and then he doesn't return again for 3 years. Yes, why the heck it's like this, I have no idea. Now, 140 is now, which is a very next issue. 140 is a noteworthy issue. It's debut of Jarella. Jarella was a longtime character in the Hulk book at this period of time. She was usually depicted as Hulk's lover, because Hulk was in love with her. And she was a primary character from this point forward. Excuse me. In some way, she was like a substitute for Betty Ross. And here's the strange thing about her. She appears in this issue 140, appears in 148, disappears for a bit, comes back for here for a good period of time, and then she gets killed off at 205, then she appears sporadically afterwards. Her most recent appearance is actually Incredible Hulk 620. It's related to Chaos Warp, when they briefly resurrect her. As for Cyclop, Avengers 88 was actually his debut, and this actually was the very next appearance of the character. But here's the thing, after this, he would not fight the Hulk again until 1976. So he went fight the Hulk again for 5 years. That's not a joke. It's seriously with him. And then we have, get this, 141 is another key issue where you have 140, the debut of Jarella. 141 is the debut of Doc Samson. Yes, Dr. Leonard Samson. This is his debut. He also gets his hair turned green this issue. Basically, in a way, it's just how he became the way he is. And here's the thing about Doc Samson. Yeah, he is a long-time supporting character of the Hulk. He is basically pretty much promoted to a regular character for 143, well, for a brief period of time. After 147, he disappears and gets to 192. Yeah, so after defending Hulk for one issue, becomes his friend. And then here's something strange, though. In 143, taking on Doctor Doom. In between appearances and pages of Astonishing Tales. Yeah, and he fights him for like 2 or 3 straight issues. Yeah, 2 issues. And then he fights the Herosians? Yeah, these weird monster creatures. Who, like, only appear a small handful of issues. They appear in this issue here, and then they don't appear again until Epic Illustrated number 8. Which is in 1981. And after that, they appear in Spotlight. They appear in the Shadow So miniseries. And that's basically it for them. We have a Colossus pair here, who appears for this 1 issue. Yeah, basically it's like Hulk versus aliens. Another group of aliens, because of course he does. And then we have the Hulk fighting the leader again for 2 issues. Because why not? And then we have something called Lord Vadis. Yeah, he also made his debut in 140 as well. He has a stage piece of Jarella. Jarella returns to this issue. It's more like more sword and sorcery, alien sword and sorcery for this one, which got handed to the Hulk, basically the rest of this book. Then we have fight the Inheritor, who is a one-shot character. Of course, is a flashback to a character I will discuss with Thor. With issue 150, he fights Havoc. Yeah, guest appearance by Havoc and Polaris during the Spotlight years. Then he fights the Crawling Unknown. Which, yeah. First debut 150, gets killed off 151. And 152, he fights Captain America, Nick Fury, and Thunderbolt Ross. And quick guest appearance by the Fantastic Four. Yeah, he's basically put on trial for a few issues with Daredevil appearing in these issues. Yes, he does. And being shrunk and deal with Ant-Man. Yes, the Hank Pym version. Yeah, and then basically like, oh yeah, let's have a guy called Captain Access for 1 issue. No, seriously. And we have the Shaper of Worlds, who was no longer around. He got killed off issue of Silver Surfer. He's basically a giant robot. So, and of course, basically, that Hulk basically would fight this guy. And in 156, he fights, well, Lord Voss again, basically, because he goes back to Jarella. Yep. But you gotta say, these issues are great. Love them. Give this book a 10 out of 10. Also, this issue, we're basically into the 1970s when it comes to the Incredible Hulk. Alright, next up, it is, well, first of which, I gotta get rid of these here. Next up we have is Thor Epic Collection Volume 3, The Wrath of Odin. Yes, these issues are written by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. This book collects issues 131 to 153 and the second annual. Now here's the thing with these issues for Thor. We have the debut of 2 major cosmic characters who actually made appearances in Guardians movies, believe it or not. Yes. Yeah, so you have Thor basically in issue 131 wrapping up his little time with Ares and we have the first appearance of the Rigelians. Yes, the Rigelians, who still occasionally appear in Marvel Comics. Matter of fact, there's actually Rigelians popped up in Karen Gillan's run for Iron Man. Tina Nile, they actually show her true appearance in these issues. Yep. And for some reason, she's got a big head. And oh boy, I gotta show this off here because we have two major cosmic beings making their debut in these issues. Okay, first of which, it's Tina Nile, who looks like this. Yes, that's how Jack Kirby draws her. Yeah, everyone basically debating all this stuff with the Rigelians. And then, like, the very next issue, well, then we have a backup story here of Warlock sides, more Tales of Asgard, which I love the Tales of Asgard stuff. Now, 132, this is a critically important issue. Because this issue has the debut of a future Guardians of the Galaxy movie villain. With Thor's dealing with the Rigelians, he's on Rigel, and deals with some of the recorders. And then the end of the issue has the debut of something that you would never expect. You're thinking, really? He appeared here first? Because this guy is associated with Fantastic Four more than this character, than this book. We have the debut of Ego the Living Planet. Yes. This creature who fought the Guardians of the Galaxy in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, played by the awesome Kurt Russell. Yeah, this is his debut. He says, I have been waiting for you. I am Ego. His general description is, and the way they have, it's very weird colorization. And of course they have more stuff, Tales of Asgard. And then basically, this is a two-part featuring Ego because we have another famous cosmic character making debut the very next issue. Yeah, and of course, all of these issues also wrap up with single characters' time in Thor comic for 30 years. I'll get to that, don't worry. Yeah, so they take on Ego and they beat him. Of course, he goes away. Me. And then in 134, like after a two-parter where he takes on Ego the Living Planet, we have their debut of another famous character in Marvel Comics. And this guy showed up in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, he's shot by Jillian. He meets up with Galactus, who's been recolored for some reason. Yes, this is Galactus' first time in Thor comics. But, oh boy! We have, this issue, we have debut of, first we have the New Men, and then we have debut, we have, of course, a brief appearance by Quicksilver Scarlet Witch. But we have debut of the High Evolutionary. You're thinking, wait, didn't the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 feature this guy in the movie? Yes, they did. This issue here, 134, is his debut. Now, next issue does basically show off his backstory. He's not necessarily a Thor villain per se, but this technically was his first appearance. And they also have debut of another character. A character known as Man-Beast. Yes, Man-Beast. Who, get this, would show up in pages of Peter Parker, the second Spider-Man, like the following decade, where he disguised himself as a hate monger. No, seriously. So, you could say Jack Kirby planted the seeds for something that Jim Saw will explore in the 70s with the High Evolutionary's debut. Yeah, and after this two-parter wraps up here with the whole... Yeah, this is just a quick little two-parter, but yeah. It's like, okay, we have the Rigelians, we have Ego very next issue, and then we have the High Evolutionary, which is awesome. Yeah. So... Yeah, and we also get, in this little brief story arc here, we actually get the High Evolutionary's backstory. Yeah, so after this awesome, after these really good these 5 issues of this really good stuff here. Yeah, in High Evolutionary, his backstory is that he was a former scientist who experimented and became what he is. Then comes 136. 136 was the brief attempt to make Jane Foster into. Now, the reason why Thor went to Mount Wundagore to look for Jane Foster, found no problem, and the very next issue is her last appearance for 30 years. There's a reason for that. So, they solve that crisis. They go to Asgard. Yeah, Jane Foster's first time she's been to Asgard. And then makes her a goddess, and then they realize there's a mistake, and then, of course, basically, she leaves, and everything related to Thor wiped, and then she meets a guy named Dr. Kincaid, and then Thor fights some other creatures, and then meets Lady Sif, and they hit it off. I'll get to more of this in a minute. So, then we have more fighting. We have a dragon, which is so awesome. Now, before we talk about the special, I have to talk about, basically, what happened here. Okay, so my guess is Stan Lee and Jack Kirby probably got tired of dealing with Jane Foster, so they wrote her out of comics. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, they wrote her out. Yeah. With this issue here, 136, she stops being his primary love interest. Yes. And after this issue, she never comes love interest ever again. Yeah. They basically break up and they never come back together. Nope. They never do. Despite her being a frequent recurring character in the book, after she does briefly return for 146, but after that she appears in 232. She appears sporadically, but not as a love interest for Thor. No. Yeah, that part of his life is over. And for the next, I'd say, 15 years or so, they actually have where Thor is dating Lady Sif. And Lady Sif herself becomes basically a recurring character in the book. As for Keith Kincaid, however, he would not return until 1983. Oh, by the way, during the period of time when he was with Jane Foster and meets her, he marries her and they have a kid together. And then they get killed off screen in issue 704 of Thor. I don't know the reason why for that. The annual is simply put basically Thor taking on the Destroyer. Yeah, it takes on the Destroyer armor again. Which is interesting to say the least. I kind of forgot that Jack Kirby. Now I thought Jack Kirby didn't create this guy, this armor, but nope, he did. And then in 137, we have debut of another iconic Thor character who Jason Aaron utilized during his run for Thor. Yodik the Troll. Who got killed at one point, and then he got brought back by the Minotaur to become a bodyguard at the Raxon Corporation. Yep, so Yodik the Troll. Basically, this was his debut. And then in issue 138. It just them deal more of the rock troll stuff. First, there's someone called Orkalo, who he didn't appear very much at all. No, he appears this issue, the following issue, and then he disappearing here for 30 years. You could say that from Yolk's debut 138 and then up until like 139 is basically it's like brief story. And we have the debut of the Growing Man, who appears in this one issue and then appears sporadically over the years. He's like a minor Thor villain. You even have Thor take on King the Conqueror, which that was strange. Yes. And we have some one-shot characters. 141. In 142, he fights Loki and the Super Skrull. In 143, he fights the Enchanters. In 144, still those with Enchanters. One gets killed off in 146, 145. In 146, he takes on... Let's see here. Yeah, in 146, they come the Circuits of Crime. And 147. But in 148, here's another key issue we have here. Thinking, really, Nick? You have several key issues for this Thor book already. Yeah, there's the debut of a really goofball character. I'm trying to find him here. Let's see. Next issue here. Here we go. I think this issue, correct? No, it's next. It's another issue. I'm trying to get to it here. It'll take me just a minute. Okay, here we go. 148 is debut of the Wrecker. Yes, the leader of the Wrecking Crew. Though the Wrecking Crew itself would not be assembled into issue of Defenders of all things. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird though. The Wrecking Crew. Thor villains. And yet they made debut in the pages of Defenders. You were like, what? Really? Why the heck would they make debut in the pages of Defenders? I have honestly no idea. Yeah, he takes on, in this issue here, yeah, it's one of those weird, yeah, he takes him on for like 2 straight issues. Yes. Oh, by the way, he's obsessed with freaking Crowbar. Yep. And it continues at 150, who takes on the Wrecker. Well, I gotta show this really awesome cover for 150. Yeah, here's your 150 issue for you. Hela standing over a collapsed Thor. They have Thor taking the Destroyer Armor again, 151. And then 152, he takes on more of basically the Destroyer. Then 153 takes on Loki. Yeah. Takes on Loki and Yodak. And that's it. Yep, that's it for that one. I gotta say, really good trade there. Yep. I give this book roughly a 10 out of 10. It's just pure awesomeness at the finest. Now, next Comic Corner, I'll hopefully get a chance to discuss the next 2 volumes and move back to physical stuff. Okay, so that's a particular review. Next up is going to be review for Black Clover. And hopefully I get a chance to do Eden Zero. Okay, next video. Bye.